So the first thing I realized was they were there. So I said, look, you're a majority, there's a bunch of things you could do. I laid out a program for them to do it, and they said, no, we can't do that. I said, why not? He said, because every day we have to go into session with the conservatives, and we have to fight to lose as little as possible. To lose as little as possible. Right? That's what the majority in the state is now doing in the legislature. So, in midsummer, thinking about that, I was asked by a group of faculty at Berkeley when the cuts came down to write an open letter to the regents, just putting that aside, which I did. I sent it around to 24 faculty, and within 4 days I received 1,331 letters from faculty throughout the system. 1,331. I brought it to the regents meeting, put it out there, had copies given to all the regents, including UDOF, and got 1 minute to speak, which I did, and then was ignored, of course. And then UDOF went on the radio and said, well, there are just a few dissenters here and there, not mentioning 1,331 faculty members of UC. Now, there's something funny about all of this. I decided on September 24th to do something different than what my colleagues at Berkeley were doing. Instead of protesting in Sproul Plaza, I wrote something. I wrote a ballot initiative and submitted it to the Attorney General. And that ballot initiative is 1 sentence long, and it's 14 words. And it goes, all legislative actions on revenue and budget must be determined by a majority vote. Now, have you ever read a ballot initiative that could be understood? There it is. The issue that this raises is democracy. We have a minority rule state, and it is false that the voters of this state will not support education, will not support health care, and will not support anything else. It is a minority in this state that is electing legislators. 36%, it only takes 34 in the legislature, 36% are running the legislature. The voters of this state are perfectly sane. The majority in the legislature, which now people just say it's the legislature as if it's one thing, it's not. The majority of people in the legislature are perfectly responsible and decent, smart people. It's a minority who is running this state. So when people in high levels of this administration say the voters won't support education, that is false. A minority of voters won't support education, and it's a small minority. Why? Because they have a certain ideology, and that ideology says that the only public good is a private good. All public goods are only private goods. And that says that the university education is a private good, that if you get an education, you should be paying for it because you're going to make more money in the future. And that's ridiculous for a number of reasons. A university education in the UC system is a public good. Not only does it support the economy of this state, by a factor of 4 to 1. For every dollar put into it, you get $4 back in the economy. But more than that, it changes everything. I mean, just the simple scientific stuff. You know, where did your computers come from? The computers that are the personal computers. 2 students at Berkeley. Where did the chips in your cell phone come from? Guys at UCSD. And I can go down the list over and over. Our lives have been changed for the better, not just technologically, but in so many ways by the University of California. It's a public good. Now, the only way that this is going to remain a public university is if we get public funding. And the only way we're going to get public funding is if we overturn minority rule. So what do? There's a lot, and we got a lot of work to do. In order to do that, around November 17th, we'll get this back from the Attorney General's office. It should be okayed. It's the simplest thing they've ever seen. We had a lawyer check it out. He said, oh, it took me 5 minutes. You know, I've never seen anything so easy. Basically, we have to get 1 million signatures to get it on the ballot. In 150 days, that's 7,000 signatures a day. Or we have to get $2 million to hire somebody to do it, which we won't get. We have to have an enormous number of volunteers out there getting signatures and then talking. We are setting up a speakers bureau to speak in every electoral district in the state, not only with speakers, but with people helping them book speaking. We have right now got from John Garamendi, our lieutenant governor, gave me one of his interns who had organized student leaders across the UC system, the Cal State system, and the community college system. We're going to organize straight across this state, getting not just students and faculty, but as many alumni and other speakers out there, because this initiative is absolutely necessary. It's not sufficient, but it's absolutely necessary. We'll never get anything else if we don't change this. And CAMajorityRule.com, go and sign up now. We'll tell you later what you can do. We're going to change the name in a couple of weeks to Californians for Democracy, by the way, but we have to, you know, we need some more help on the website. Now, that system of speakers is not just there for this initiative. It's there for many things later on, and we'll talk about that. But let me talk about the relationship between what's happening in the state and what's happening within the university, because it's exactly the same thing. Privatization, the idea that the only public goods are private goods, is what is running the state, the problem with the minority rule. The reason that those folks are against it is they have an ideology, and that ideology is supported by very wealthy people. And by the way, they say there's no money in the state. This is the 7th largest economy in the world. There's lots of money in this state. Where is it? Well, yes. The top 1% has more assets than the bottom 95%. It's there. And not only that, even if no taxes were ever raised, if you just close the loopholes, Lenny Goldberg has calculated you'd have more than enough money to run not only the universities, but much of the budget in the state. So this is an issue that's here. Now, you're going to hear, if we get our thing on the ballot, that this is a ruse for the Democrats in the legislature, to raise your taxes. The answer is, ask any conservative, do you think a majority of voters in the state want their taxes raised? Okay? If they say no, then say, what are you afraid of? Have democracy, right? In any case, but this isn't about just taxes or any particular revenues or any way to do this. This is about democracy. This is about finally getting California back to being a normal, democratically run state. That's what's causing gridlock. And it is not the voters and it is not the legislature that is blocking this. It is a minority. And we've got to change that. Within the university, all of the things that you have heard have to do with privatization in one form or another. One has to do with raising fees. And Bob Meister this week put out, if you haven't seen it, something that shows that in 2004, the regents set up a plan to guarantee that they would start raising fees and keep raising fees in order to keep their bond rating high. They made a deal with Wall Street bond folks. In order to keep their bond rating high, they said, we will guarantee that we will keep raising fees until they're in the $27,000 to $30,000 range. Okay? Then the bond ratings are high. That's why they could loan $200 million to the state.